guest today has a passion for creating communities online. She was raised in a family of entrepreneurs outside of Scranton, and she understands that for small business owners, digital marketing and social media can fall by the wayside for things like paying for your employees and keeping your business running smoothly. This is where she comes in. She's a New York Times bestselling author of Channel Kindness, a book co-written with Lady Gaga's Born This Way Foundation and other Channel Kindness reporters. Through her work, she's interviewed people like Queen Latifah and 2020's executive producer, Janice Johnston, and she's written about local news, healthcare, social justice, business interest, and human interest, politics, and more. Elyse has gained full press accreditation in the United States Congress as an editor with a federal network and has worked with brands like the United States Chamber of Commerce, ESF camps, and the cancer support community. Please welcome the founder and president of Townie Creative Digital Marketing Agency, Elyse Notarianni. How are you?
Good. How are you? You make me sound so good.
I know. I was like, I'm so excited that your bio is amazing. There's so many different, like my mind is just like, where can we go? There's so much. I feel like in such this big, like digital world that's out there, there's so many different things that we can talk about. And so much of it is relevant for every single business, no matter how big or small your business is. But we've got to start off with something very, very interesting because this is a woman that I very much admire. So please tell all of us what it was like interviewing Queen Latifah.
Oh my God. I died a little bit. Like she looked at me and I just died. She was incredible. She was so gracious and so kind and so like well thought out in everything she was saying. So I had talked to her for a cover story for SJ Magazine. I basically stalked her entire press team for like months, being like, hey, like I want to talk to her, I want to talk to her, I want to talk to her. And like, okay, she's got a press event coming up. You can come to this and you can talk to her. And so I immediately like nudged my way in to get some of the first questions in because I really wanted to make sure that, we got to talk about New Jersey because that's what I covered. And I remember like asking her, what was it like growing up in New Jersey and how did it feel to be able to bring this project? We were talking about the Equalizer, how to bring this project back to Newark. And be able to work with people in the state. And she was like, first of all, thank you so much for your coverage of New Jersey. Like, no offense to everybody else, but this state just like has such a special place in my heart and the work you do is so important. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to listen to anything else you say for the rest of eternity because I'm just over here crying inside just like a little bit. It was so nice. But she was just so sweet. And I got the best quotes from her. I've been telling people all about it for years now. And it's been like, everyone's like, okay, like we get
it. Well, and I think that's so awesome that, when we talk about celebrities, we have this picture of what they're like in our minds. And it's so exciting when you hear that someone is so kind and genuine in person as they seem on TV and in movies and things like that. So that's so cool that you got to interview her and just talk to her. I think is amazing. And you're right. I probably would have like died a little bit inside from just be like, oh my gosh, she's so amazing.
Yeah. I'm just still reviving a little bit. It's fine. It's been years, but it's okay.
Totally.
For a year. I don't even know.
Wow. Well, and you also worked with Lady Gaga's foundation too, to write a book. Tell me more about that because that sounds equally as fascinating.
Yeah. So in 2017, I was working with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and they held a conference called the Corporate Citizenship Conference. And it was all about how corporations and brands can, be able to give back to communities while still making a profit, which in 2017 wasn't as big of a conversation as it is right now. So Lady Gaga's mom was there to talk about the Born This Way Foundation and the ways they get involved in the community, especially in the mental health space. And I was reporting on it. So I was writing all about what she was saying. And my supervisor saw that I was just getting really into the conversation. And she came to me and was like, hey, the Born This Way Foundation let us know that they're starting a program called Channel Kindness, which is an online platform for young writers and new voices to be able to write either inspiring stories or just positive news stories from their area. It wasn't a paid thing. It was kind of a like you put in 1 or 2 articles a month and they kind of left you alone. So I did it just to get my byline out there a little bit and to say that I work with the foundation. So the program ended. It was great. Had some new clips to put in my portfolio, and they give me a call back like 2 years later. I think this is September 2019. They gave me a call back and they're like, hey, we're working on a book. We want to put one of your stories in there as one of the chapters. Like, would you be willing to let us do that? And I was like, what am I going to do? Say no to you? Like, yes, please. Can we do that? So the story I had written about was also from that conference. It was, I don't know if you've heard about Hungry Harvest, but it's this company that buys recovered fruits and vegetables from grocery stores. So like perfectly edible, but it's just too big, too small, too ugly, whatever it is to sell. And they give it in, or they sell it in subscription boxes to people so that farmers don't lose out on that money and we don't have as much food waste. So I wrote about them and that made it into the book. And it was just such a fun process. I wanted to tell everybody about it from like the second I heard, but I had a non-disclosure agreement. And like, don't tell me secrets because I'll tell everybody. So that was really difficult for me. But when it did finally come out and I was able to tell everybody, we got a call like 3 or 4 days later with all the Channel Kindness reporters. There was, I think, like 50 of us in the book saying, hey, just letting you guys know you are New York Times bestselling authors. And I was like, okay. Now, let's be clear. I didn't write this whole book. And like, you could probably make an argument that I'm not a bestselling author, but you could make the argument that I am. And that's the one I'm choosing to go with. So
I agree. I agree. That's
yeah,
incredible.
it was so exciting. I've got the book on my coffee table back here. I've got a note, if you like, wait, here on my stand. I've got a note that was written by the foundation and signed by like Lady Gaga and her mom and whatever, just like for being a part. Oh, so cool. It
Oh
was
my
so cool.
gosh. That is like, that's so amazing that you had that opportunity. But heck yeah, girl, you're a best-selling author. Oh my
I'll
gosh,
take
that's
it.
so cool. Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think that really probably helped form, all these different decisions that you're looking at when you're looking at digital marketing and all these different things that comes into play when you're trying to grow your business, whether that is a book, you don't have a book, a website, you don't have a website, social media, don't have
Mm-hmm.
that. There's all these different things that play into us as businesses, as entrepreneurs being in the online space. And so I really want to dive into what you think the highest priority is when it comes to digital marketing for small business owners, because we all want to grow. We all want, amazing opportunities. We all, want to grow our businesses. So what's that highest priority for you when you think about that?
Well, and this is like not a fun answer, but it's just the basics. Like it's literally just making sure you have everything available to people to make visiting your business, working with you as easy as possible. So, who you are, what you do in the simplest terms possible, why they should pick you, how they can contact you. That is it. Because there's so many places that you look up and you're like, okay, I get it. You have all these cool services, but like, when are you going to answer the phone? And also, what's your phone number? Can I send you an email kind of thing? So that's the very basic, just making sure that all your ducks are in a row so that when people do want to work with you, it's as easy as possible. The second thing is forming your brand online, which is like not as big of a thing as you think it might be. So it's setting up your social media accounts. It's making a website that looks like, somebody actually wants to use it, like looks kind of professional. You don't have to pay a lot of money for it, but it's got to look kind of professional or else people are just going to pop off. But creating a social media strategy that provides value and allows people to create community around what you do. So it's not about showing off. It's not about pretty pictures. It's not about, getting a whole bunch of likes, just a social media presence that gives people value and makes it easy for them to see your services and what you do.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think we can get wrapped up in the likes and what's the next best strategy and what's going to get, the most traction. And really, it doesn't have to be that complicated. It really can be simple.
Mm-hmm.
And when you mentioned the fact about being easy to connect with, I thought to myself, how many times have you opened up an email or you're trying to like reach out to someone and you're like, where the heck is their phone number? What is their
Mm-hmm.
email address? And more importantly, why do we hide that information? Like, that's
Yes.
like the easiest thing. And sometimes I feel like we as entrepreneurs, these simple, simple things, it's like we forget about them and we've got to make it complicated. And it's like, it doesn't really have to be that way.
Yes. And actually, so because half my background is in journalism, I know that when I'm working on a story, like if we're working on our best of list or whatever it is, I have all these places that I love. But then if I'm like, okay, I'm going to name this place the best brunch place, and I go on their website and I can't find a photo and I can't find their address and I can't find their hours, then I can't name them, because it's like, I don't have the time to call you and figure this stuff out. I'm going to move on to the next person. So you got to make it easy.
And to think about what opportunities we could be potentially missing, because whose eyes are on our website or on our social media? And if we're not easily accessible, you're right. People might move past and move on to the next person.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's
I think the
powerful.
big thing, because when you say like whose eyes are on it, because I work specifically with small businesses, which means my strategy is not to go viral. I mean, if it happens, that's amazing, but like it's never the goal. And I always tell people it doesn't matter how many eyes are on your social media, on your website, whatever, how many visits, how many likes, how many whatever, it's on what eyes are on there. So you can get 15,000 likes and then nobody wants to buy what you just posted, or you can get 10 likes and 5 people want to buy it. And I'm working for a jewelry company and that thing costs $10,000 and you've just made a lot of sales. Might not look it
Yeah.
on social media, but like, doesn't really matter how it looks when the money comes in the bank, you know?
It's all about that perspective shift for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
think we've all, we've kind of grown up in this social media age where it is about like the likes and the follows. And that's just not true anymore, because you're absolutely
Mm-hmm.
right. If you can get those 10 people, 5 of which purchase, that's the bottom line, is
Yeah.
that are you reaching out and are you serving that community, whether it's 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people, whatever it is, are you serving those people? And I think that's something that we really need to remember when it comes to social media, websites, all that kind of stuff. So, if you are working with a brand new client, where's the best place for a small business to invest their money, growing their busy business using online tools? Because I know there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of noise. So, where's the best place, in your opinion, for us to invest our money?
Well, first your website, but I mean, overall in professionals. So you as a small business owner cannot and should not do everything, even though it totally seems like you want to, and that you could probably get it done. You probably understand it. I'm guilty of this. I'm not going to lie to you. Um, but it's invest your money in people who are really, really good at what they do so that you don't have to spend your time thinking about it. And that's going to show too. So if you invest in a good website that looks really nice and you invest in a great copywriter, not a good copywriter, because great copy is very important, then that's going to engage people and draw people in and make people want to stay on your site. And if you invest in a good graphic designer for a good logo, I just got my logo redone and I'm just like thrilled by it, because I have no design skills whatsoever. And I know that, so I'm not going to spend the time on it. But if you invest in people and their skills, you're going to save yourself money in the long run, because now you're saving yourself time and you don't have to redo everything down the line like I just did in my redesign.
I love that. I think that's so important, because you're right. You've got to know what to delegate. And it, like you said, if logo is not your strength, find somebody who can make one for you. One that you're really
Mm-hmm.
jazzed about, because I think that's important, because that's representing you as the person. And so if you don't like it, or if there's tweaks that need to be made to it, it's far better to do it in the beginning, rather than go through it. And then you're like, oh, I never really liked that. I got to
Mm-hmm.
change that up.
Yeah.
It's so good. So when or where can a business start with digital marketing if they just have a website and they're just like, I know I need more? What's the best way to get started?
So my big thing, because I specifically again work with small businesses, is just starting. So it's better to have a bad social media presence. And I don't mean bad as in you're posting problematic things. Please don't do that. But bad, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just be there, share something. So I always tell people to start with a really easy social strategy. So create a calendar, put 3 posts on a week, make one of them an information post about what you do, what your services are, what sets you apart. Make an educational post that gives value to your customer, that teaches them something, offers them something for free. You're asking nothing of them. And then something entertaining, something that literally they can just scroll by and they can like it, and it's just like a nice thing. And that's it. You can just start there. I think organization tools are great. I use Notion for all my content calendars, which I love. It takes a little bit of setting up, but I love it. It keeps me organized. It makes things so easy. Um, and then I would just say, sit down, give yourself 2, 3 hours. Like, don't work on this all the time, because you don't have time for that. Give yourself 2-3 hours where you're just writing social posts. And if you're doing those 3 for the month, then you just have to write 4 promotional posts, which I'm sure off the top of your head, you can give me 4 things about your business right now that people should know. 4 education posts. You're obviously an expert in your industry. So just 4 things that you know that you think would be helpful. And then the entertaining ones are a little bit harder because people are like, what do people care about? Like your dog. People love photos of dogs. What you're doing, what's going on in your business, just like something easy. Just 4 back to back to back. Schedule them in. Sometimes free websites work great. Buffer's awesome, especially for small business owners. I use Sendable, which I think I pay $29 a month or something for. So it doesn't have to be expensive. Schedule it all out and just like let it go.
I love that. Now, in the spirit of simplicity, are these just posts, or do you think it's like reels and lives and all these things, or is that just complicating it and we should
So,
just focus on the posts?
I mean, if you really want to get into it, reels are the best way to do it just because the way the algorithm works and it's pushing it out more, or just any kind of video content. But here's the thing, if you're just getting started out, you don't have time for that. Just put up posts, just anything that gets you going. Once you get the hang of it, once you have more time, once you can invest more into it, absolutely, there's so much more that you can do and so much more to understand. But just to get started, definitely static posts are great. Now, the one thing though that I would say is it's important to check on it every day. You don't have to scroll for like 30 minutes, but check in, see if there are comments, see if there are messages, see if there's anything on your feed from people in your community that you can comment on and interact with, because that's going to be really important. Because you don't want to just say, here's my stuff, come to me, follow me, goodbye. You want to like really create conversation around what you're doing and be a part of other people's conversation. Because that's what social media is. It's about connecting with people and building communities. And that's when you're going to get more of a return. But it doesn't have to be much. It's like 5 minutes a day.
I love that, where you're like, you don't have to scroll for 30 minutes. I'm like, that's the dreaded scroll. That's the hard part.
I
You've got to like
know.
set your Instagram timer on your iPhone. So you're like, oh, time's up. Gotta go. I've got to make sure that
Mhm.
my time on the IG is focused, because it is very easy to slip into the scrolling that, doesn't work. Now, one thing too that I like that you said, so if we're setting aside this time, 2 to 3 hours to create these posts for the entire month, which sounds totally doable, we probably get better at it, right? The more we do it,
Yeah.
like you mentioned about like thinking about, okay, what do I want someone to know about my business? We probably just get better and better at it, right?
Oh, yeah. Like if I was doing just 3 posts a week on that kind of content, I could do that in 30 minutes. Now, again, I am a writer. And so this comes a little bit more naturally, and I kind of have more of a background, but again, like it really doesn't take long. The concept's called batching, where you're basically just writing the same types of posts all at the same time. So your brain doesn't have to go from thing to thing to thing to thing. And once you focus, you can get a whole bunch out there all at once. But yeah, it gets so much easier the more you do it. So it might take 3 hours the first month, but I bet within 3-4 months, you can really like get this going.
That's awesome. Now, if somebody is listening to this podcast and they're like, you know what, Elyse, that's a really great idea, but I'm not really sure that I'm there yet. How can people work with you? Like, what's the best way to connect with you and be like, I need your help?
So you can reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever, at Townie Creative, um, because that's what I do. Like I do this for social media, or I do this for small businesses because they don't have time, not because they can't, because you totally can, but they don't have time. They don't want to, and then that's where I'll do it for you.
I love that, because we all have the same amount of hours in the day, and again, focusing on let the experts help you with what they're good at, so key. Now, one thing that I want to ask you before we go is, what's one piece of advice that you would give to a small business owner, knowing what you know, vast knowledge, your writing background, like what's just one thing that you're like, this is key?
And I'm going to stick with my theme here is hire professionals. Freelancers are amazing. There's so many talented people out there that you can get on a per project basis. But hire professionals and then trust them to do their jobs. If you micromanage it, then you basically are doing it all yourself. And you're going to come out with exactly the kind of project that you would have done by yourself. Get people you trust, let them do their thing, and then you can tweak it at the end. but really allow people to shine, because you have areas that you shine and you want people to let you do it. And you're definitely going to want that for your business. It's going to end up best for everybody.
I love that. Thank you so much for that. And I'll also be sure to add your links to our show notes too, so it's easily people can find it and reach out to you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was great to talk to you.